Are you stuck? What about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for 30-minute moments as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. It's time to celebrate that life with 30-minute moments.
Welcome to 30-minute moments for ease and betterment in your life always. And I'm your host, Alena Chapman. And this 30-minute moments is brought to you by soulmanifesto.com, a safe community to explore, discover, and tap into your own personal essence so you can live with the joy, happiness, and abundance in your life. Oh, that sounds so good. And today, my guest is a good old new friend. Let's put it that way. And she is, how do you describe her? She's warm. She's very feeling. She's fun. She's dynamic. Her name is Candace Harper. Now, I'm going to read to you what she does because I think you're going to love this. She helps hardworking women who have survived abuse become vibrant, alive, magnetic, and passionate while creating healthy relationships. She's all about these healthy relationships, which right now is important. She's a coach, mentor, speaker, and healer who uses a combination of 5 years of coaching education, a BA and an MFA, and a lifetime of learning and growing through her own experiences in order to create programs that bring women and couples into alignment with the deep level intimacy and romantic wellness we all crave. Now, isn't that cool? Now, the other thing I want to talk about is that she has a wonderful podcast show that's on Monday nights. And it's on Facebook, too, and it's called Ask for Candy. This show is dynamic. I've been on it. There are other people that it brings up really cool relationship kind of questions, and everybody discusses it, which I love. She also will be releasing 2 books. All right, with that, hello, Candace.
Hi, Alena. How are you?
I am amazing. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing great. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you. I just saw Candace in New York. She, like I said, she is a friend, and we always have these dynamic, awesome conversations when we meet. I just love it.
We had a fantastic dinner. I mean, we could have sat there for hours.
Yeah. Isn't that the that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right, but today we're going to be talking. Now, this is important. I mean, I even had to do this. It's this relationship. We women and our mothers. All right. Now, some get along great, but some of us have had a little bit of problem. Now, what does this do for our love life, Candace?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. As far as our relationships with our mothers are concerned, a lot of times we feel like, if we get along with our mother, then, there's nothing to be looked at. There's nothing to be healed. But here's the great thing about our love lives and what love lives do for us. They shine a light on exactly what does need to be healed, and they are reflections of what we grew up with, how we were conditioned, and what our relationships are with our parents. And as women, when we don't have a good relationship or an unhealed relationship with our mother, it tends to show up in our romantic relationship.
Interesting. Can you give me an example?
So, one of the hardest things to do, because in our culture we don't necessarily, make a point to do this, is to have our own rite of passage as a woman and as an individual. A lot of times in our culture we're raised, to be like our mothers, often we look like our mothers, and we emulate their behaviors. And it doesn't matter usually what they tell us, it's what their behaviors are. So let's say they don't have a good relationship with themselves, that's what we take on.
Yeah.
So if you take that on, like negative self-talk, negative body image,
right, low self-esteem,
low self-esteem, then, you go into your romantic relationships with all of those things, And those of you out there, I would probably say 99% of people have been in relationships where they didn't feel so good about themselves.
Right.
And there's a lot of impact around that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And be healthy in a relationship.
Also, I don't know. When I was growing up, I watched the dynamic between my mother and my father.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You want, and you also and I was kind of looking for a man kind of like my dad. And I was, I wonder, I had to heal the relationship with my mom. Yeah. My mom has a very sharp tongue. Can I? Oh, I guess I could if I wanted to. I just choose not to. But yeah, I can be pretty sharp. I've learned it from my mother. I'm a good student.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And we all are.
Yeah.
We're such good emulators, especially when we're growing up. It's like we're sponges for, whoever's raising us.
Soak it up.
Sponges for how they behave. Yeah. So, and when you have especially a mother who has a sharp tongue or, if she's abusive in any way, whether verbally or physically, we can learn cognitively not to do those things. But what happens is that we resist them so much that it comes out in other ways. It has to be healed.
It has to be healed.
It finds its way out.
It's true, and that's what I've done. And you know what? I'm going to be your testimonial, Candace, because
I love it.
When I healed that relationship with my mom, and I wouldn't say there aren't hiccups. Every once in a while, there's two people. There's dynamics. There's going to be hiccups. But for the most part, we can sit and laugh for hours. I find that now I'm more open to helping and being there for her, that we are. But I've also found that it has changed my perception about relationships. I've come to a new understanding of myself and relationships.
Totally. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, I think that the misconception about healing a relationship and even the misconception about forgiveness when it comes to our parents, our mothers in particular, is that we're doing it for them, that there's some sort of moral obligation to be great with your mom. But really what it is access to healing yourself. And that's why you were able to, once you healed that relationship with her, to feel better around her, but feel better within yourself. It's because that's really what it's access to. Like, if I can accept who she was and be with it, whether it was horrible or it was amazing, if I can be with who she was and not be in a space of judgment and criticism, I can then offer that to myself.
And it comes with understanding. I mean, if you've had a mom who is harder, then understanding where they come from, all of a sudden you just sort of, I don't want to say grow up, but you actually, you just get to a different level that she's not mom, she's just a person who was doing her very best with the equipment that she had to do it with. And that doesn't excuse everything, the impossible, but it does heal the relationship from here and now.
And exactly what you're talking about is maturity, and it's the rite of passage that we take. The moment that we can look at our mother and say, you know what, she might not have been perfect, and she might have even, been a drug addict, but she was who she was, separate of being my mother, and she did what she knew to do to survive. That doesn't mean that I have to do the same thing, and it doesn't mean that I can't heal it, but it's a sign of the growth and me taking my rite of passage. If I can see her as an individual woman, forgive her for her mistakes and forgive her for her failings, and just allow her to be an individual separate of me, I'm taking my own rite of passage.
That's cool. Yeah, it is a rite of passage. It really is. Because then when you do that, then all of a sudden you start doing this with everyone. And you start to have a different understanding of people in general. And that's what's cool. And then all of a sudden you're not looking for that perfect man who is Superman, but this and that, and also sensitive and all this. But all of a sudden you're looking for a real person. You graduate, that's what it is. It's a rite of passage. It's our own rite of passage. It is important, and it is fun. So how have you seen, well, first of all, let's talk, how can someone who is not getting along with their mom, what is some hardcore steps that they can start taking to start to understand their mom? Because, man, I'm mad as a hornet at my mom. Let's put it that way. If I was mad as a hornet and I just can't understand why she did that to me, and I just can't be okay with it, how can I start to take the steps forward to changing that?
I'll tell you exactly, because this is exactly what I went through, and it's part of why this process is so important to me. first of all, it's just acknowledging. If you're angry at your mother, a lot of times we feel guilty about it. We feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be. I'm not supposed to feel mad at her, no matter what she's done.
Right.
A lot of times, there's that guilt. The very first thing that you have to be willing to do is allow yourself to feel how you feel. That doesn't mean take it out on her or take it out on anybody else.
Doesn't mean crashing the whole house up, right?
Exactly. But find spaces where you can express your feelings and get it out. I recommend finding communities, and there are women's healing communities. That's how I sort of found my healing. But if you can't find that, even if it means beating up the pillows, we have to be able to process our feelings about things. And
yes, we do. Yes.
And say, I'm angry about this thing, and I need to, process it and feel it and let it out instead of bottling it up and pretending like I'm not and sucking it up.
Exactly.
I don't want to do.
Exactly. Right. We don't want to do that. I don't even say that. I mean, with all the positivity that's going around, and you have to be positive, and some people are saying feelings aren't real. Well, maybe they're not real, but you still feel them. And they are a warning sign that something is wrong. That you either have to look inside, or your situation is screwed up, or something is not right. You have to. I agree with you totally, Candace.
Yeah, and allow it. A lot of times too, our culture, we're taught to instantly fix it. Go get a medication. Go do something.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Drug it out.
Drug it out. Yeah.
No, that's not good.
Allow it. Allow it to happen. Allow your feelings to be there without having to include anybody in on it. Just honor it, own it, until you don't feel it as strongly anymore. And then you can start into a process of, how can I look at this differently? What questions am I not asking myself? And you have to be willing to sort of question your beliefs about it a little bit, too.
Ooh.
A lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to question how we feel, what we know to be true about the people in our lives, right?
We're going to have to delve into that more. You are listening to 30-Minute Moments, and I'm your host, Alena Chapman, and right now we're talking with Candace Harper. We'll be right back.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments. I'm your host, Alena Chapman. You know this is all about ease and betterment in your life, and we've got Candace Harper. And I want to get right on this point, Candace. All right, so accepting. I mean, when you're really mad and you're going to get yourself, experience your anger, maybe you get yourself exhausted. Now you're going to leap into accepting. Yeah. Now, how do we get ourselves morphed into that? Because that's a big step.
Yeah, and I like that you use the word morphed, because I always say that transformation, especially transformation of our minds, is kind of like a yoga practice or an exercise practice. It takes time, right?
It does.
To evolve.
It does.
Yeah, so it's the willingness, like I was saying earlier, the willingness to start questioning what I have believed and what I have perceived about my situation. We have our lens of how we see things based on our experiences. And we think, what we know, we just know to be true, especially if we've had, let's say, an abusive mother. Yeah. I know she's horrible. I know there's nothing else to her. But if I'm willing to question that, then I let other possibilities come in. Then it sort of releases me from having to behave in a way that just what I know is true, 100%.
Right.
It allows me to open up to what else I can possibly know about the situation, so that I can get into a space of accepting that maybe she's more complicated and more multi-layered than I originally thought. Maybe she experienced some things that I didn't even know about that made her who she was, and all of her behavior was about her and not about me. Like, I get a chance to sort of explore that just by being willing to question my own truth. And I say that with quotations around it.
Yeah, and it is just opening yourself up, and everything is. Every new discovery, we have to open ourselves up. So when we expel all that anger, and then we are tired from just expressing, then we can, and that doesn't mean doing it to our mother, but expressing it in our own way, in our home, writing. I love to write. I love to write letters, when I'm really angry, and then just burn them, get rid of them. But the one thing is, when you start to open up to just the possibilities, because no one, I guarantee, no one was born being awful.
Yeah.
No one was born, because we come from love. And when we come from love, pure, unconditional love, that's heaven, guys. Then when we come down on this earth, there has to be, we soak stuff up. We soak up the wrong stuff into our psyche. We get treated wrong. And sometimes we carry that in ways that, we become it. We become our circumstance. We become our struggle. And if our mother has done that, then it's opening our mind to seeing that for what it is, correct?
Absolutely. It's true. I always say we come in perfect, and then the world gets a hold of us.
Oh, gosh, isn't that the truth? Oh, yeah. I always say if I can get my boys into adulthood with the least amount of damage, I'm doing really well, and we still slip up, we do. So, but I do love this. So when we start accepting that, and then what do we do?
So, once you're in a space of acceptance where you can say, okay, I get it. She's a woman. She's separate of me. Then, what we get to do is go through the actual forgiveness process, which means that we get to own the decisions that we made when we were in the resentment. So a lot of times, something that happened, right?
Yeah.
Something that happened, something you can remember, something your mother said to you. Like I remember when I was in high school, I was in a musical, and I was dancing in a musical, and I've always been kind of a not heavier girl, but, just tall and thicker.
You're not heavy, darling.
I appreciate that. She said to me, well, do you think you'd get the dance moves a little better if you lost a little weight? For a 15-year-old girl, that's like
devastating. I know. Yeah.
Right? And so the impact of that for me was that it sort of closed off, I should never dance in front of people as much as I love dancing. But what I had to own in my forgiveness process with my mother is that the decision to stop dancing, even though it came from a place of pain and resentment and anger at her for saying such a hateful thing to me, when I was able to forgive her for saying it, I was able to own that I'm the one who decided to stop dancing.
Yes.
I'm the one who built up that survival technique. And don't dance thing went on into my adulthood. That wasn't what she was intending with what she said.
No, not at all.
Right? She was coming from her own self-criticism.
Right.
I'm the one who chose to survive it by protecting myself with something that didn't work.
Exactly.
Right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
How often do we blame our parents for everything? That only goes so far.
Yes.
It really does. It really does. And so when you do see that person for who they are, then you can start saying to yourself, well, wait a minute. Well, my response, I am responsible for the response I gave. And so there's a lot of self-forgiveness too, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's access to being able to forgive yourself, just being willing to say, okay, I don't have to blame somebody else for the choices that I have made.
I like that.
Behind something that they said. I don't have to keep pushing the blame off, because as long as I'm pushing off the blame, I'm also pushing off my power. I can't change it if I'm blaming somebody else for it.
That's right, because it's outside. It's their responsibility to change it, and they're not going to do it. You have to do it.
Right? Absolutely. It's so true.
Now, when I've done all this, how does this open up my vision for this person, this special person I want in my life?
Well, here's the thing with my forgiveness process, and it's what I teach in my intensive. Once I've gotten to the point where I can actually own how I showed up for myself and own my choices, I also get the power to create a new possibility. So now I can clean the slate, because I've honored my feelings, I've felt my feelings, I allow myself to feel my feelings. And, this is a process. It's not like you do one thing and then you're done and you never have to go back to it again.
It's not a one-day process either.
It's not a one-day process either. But, because I've allowed myself to do that and I'm taking responsibility, I'm taking ownership, that means I can also just clean the slate and show up as who I want to be in the relationship.
I love that.
Right?
Because you're whole. You're suddenly whole. Yeah, you become whole. You're not looking for someone to validate your goodness. You're not looking for someone to validate the things that your mom criticized. You know what? You're not looking for someone to nurse those wounds. You're showing up as a full person so that you're able to share your life with someone else who's also whole. Don't go looking for the damaged person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Taking in the strays, yeah.
Then you're going to be going through that whole process with them. No, if you are whole, you'll find that whole person in your life. It just is a law of attraction. You're listening to 30-Minute Moments. I'm Alena Chapman, and we're with Candace Harper, and we'll be right back with my favorite part.
This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner self every Sunday on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back to 30-Minute Moments, and guess what? It's time. The shift. So here we are, the aha moment, the pivotal moment that changes our life for bigger or just better. And Candace, what story do you have for us?
I feel like I've had, especially in the last decade, I feel like I've had so many aha moments. But
I know, me too.
The one that, one that really stands out, because it did happen in the last decade, and it's how I became a coach and started on this whole journey, was when because I used to be an art director in television, and I was the art director for the Wendy Williams show the first couple of years.
I remember that show.
Yeah, I mean, it's still on now. It's done great. It's a really successful show. But I got laid off after 2 seasons, and there was a part of me that, really loved the job because it was so much fun. But I didn't realize until I got laid off from the job that it really wasn't doing anything for me internally, like my emotional sort of state, my emotional flora and fauna.
Yeah.
My growth, exactly. So, during the time that I was, an art director, I had a 15-year career. I really was in a state of survival, and I didn't even know it. I just wanted to maintain my lifestyle. I was working 14 to 16-hour days. I was making probably more money than I ever thought I was going to make as a single woman, and more than my parents ever made. And it just, really, I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, but didn't realize how unfulfilled I really was until I got laid off. I would have never quit this job. I would have never walked away. But when I got laid off, at first it felt like a punch in the gut. But when I sort of allowed myself to be with it, and reluctantly, all of a sudden it just started to open up for me that, all the things that I was attached to about just surviving and keeping what I had and being attached to the things was exactly what was keeping me from actually living. I was just working.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother show in itself. How many people are just surviving? They're just going to the job because of the money, and they aren't growing at all. Yeah, that's another show right there, Candace. But so then all of a sudden you just decided to become a coach?
Well, there was part of me that sort of had dipped my toe into the personal growth world. I had been doing that for a while. And what I said to myself was, you know what, this is it. You're only going to be Candace Harper this one time around. And here you are sitting, cool. It was in a moment when I was just tearfully sitting in the middle of my living room floor. I had my, high-rise luxury apartment, and I just loved it so much. And I'm sitting there I'm never, I'm not going to be able to keep it. And, what am I going to do? And it just dawned on me. I was just like, so what do you need to keep any of it for? All you've been doing is working to afford it.
Yeah.
You don't
Isn't
need
that the
any
truth?
of it.
Yeah.
You don't need any of it. What you need is to be able to get out there and connect with people and love and be loved and do what you're here to do. It just it came to me in just a moment of stop sitting here crying for nothing.
Isn't that is one heck of a wake up. That is a pivotal moment. Yeah. And once you understand that you don't have to live where you own all, that you're living for the stuff. My parents used to tell me that too. If I am living to have the stuff, if I am every waking hour I'm making money to have that stuff, is it worth it?
Exactly.
Is it really worth it? Yeah.
No.
And so
here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with having the stuff.
No.
But if it's not stuff that you easily gain, if it's not a feeling of abundance, if it's not, then why do it?
Right.
We're here to have ease and abundance. We're here to have fulfillment and fun and love and connection. And so if if everything that you're doing is cutting off all of those possibilities because you want to be attached to your stuff, it's like, what's the purpose? What's the point of that?
And every spiritual teaching, everyone that I have ever looked into, way back, has taught us not to attach to stuff, and we still do it. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Totally. And then it owns us. I've taught my kids that too. Even with studying or everything, does this own you? Even addiction to something, is that owning you? Is this computer owning you, or do you own it?
Oh, totally.
To learn. Not to let something own you. You do not have to respond to it like it has to have you, or you have to support it. No. This is fantastic. Now, how do people find out more about you?
Well, there's a couple ways. They can either go to Candace Harper Love Coach, my Facebook page, my business page.
Yeah.
Or they can go to CandaceHarperLoveCoach.com, which is my website.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then you guys go on Facebook and just put in Ask for Candy. And that is her podcast show. And it is fun. We had a good time on that show. You know that?
We did. And our show, too, is so they can also go to, if they have an Alexa, they can go to iHeartRadio because it streams on iHeartRadio.
Okay.
Oh, and your show is on there, too. They should tell them to go to iHeartRadio and look for my show with you, because that was a great conversation.
Oh, gosh, it was so fun.
We had so much fun.
Fern was there, Aaron was there, I was there, and you get the three of us together, and oh, my gosh. Watch out, world.
Right?
Oh, and for all our listeners out there, start to ask yourself, how are all my relationships? And this process that we're doing with our mom, we can do with all the relationships. It is a process. And some people say, do I really want to try that hard? Yes. You do, because it's on the other side of that very small mountain. And believe it or not, it is a small mountain. And on that other side is this incredible life of happiness. And we don't put enough value. If we should put value on anything, it's happiness. And when you have happiness and a new perception, it changes everything. So yes, take a look at these relationships. How can I grow and start to look at these differently? And if you want to learn more about Soul Manifesto, go to soulmanifesto.com or look it up on the website or look it up on Facebook, whatever. That is Alena Chapman. And I would love to have you join me and just start to delve into that essence of you. So again, take a look this week. Candace, it was such a joy to have you on. So wonderful. It's always wonderful to have you on. And for everyone out there, namaste.
This has been 30-Minute Moments featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now at wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.